Hello, and welcome to our first proper sit down record One Piece discussion in a long ass time. A little over a
It's
year,
been
I
so
think.
long.
It's been
Welcome
so
back,
long.
everybody.
Welcome
Happy
back.
Bug Month,
Welcome
baby.
already. Welcome back for those of you who probably don't know us because there's like 10 viewers. I am Lad. I'm
Yep,
joined with my friend Misfit. Say hello.
I'm I am Misfit.
Uh, and for the
We're
longest
introducing
time,
ourselves because we're good YouTubers.
we're introducing ourselves because we're good YouTubers. For the longest time, it has been, you're the expert on One Piece, I am the newbie. Uh,
Yep.
and, for the last couple sessions, that was a little different. But this is the first time for me where it has been a weekly experience sent for the last,
Yep.
how many chapters has it been? Like 30 something?
30
30
something.
something
We're
chapters?
starting on if anyone wants to read along and talk along with us, even though we're not really going to be going in specific order. We are starting on 1140 and going up until
1171
1171.
is the most recent chapter. Well, I guess technically
Yep.
72 is out. We haven't read it yet. Um,
72 came out 22 minutes ago, but we're doing this first
he's
because
doxing
we didn't
us.
want to have.
Holy, he's doxing the timeline. Okay. So I
True.
guess
They
just
know
to
what time. Well, they don't know what time zones we're in.
That's true. That's true. Anyways, I guess a less chaotic place to start is maybe just to say what our thoughts are on this section, because I know for me it's very interesting being my first truly weekly section to have read.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think
that
it really affects the way that you experience this story when it is a weekly experience versus binging it in. We were doing 30 to 40 chapter batches at one point.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time we were doing like 20 chapters a week, which is still a lot of
Yeah,
chapters. I mean, right now I'm rereading One Piece with someone else, and we're doing similar amounts of chapters all the time, and so
yeah.
it's very different coming in and just every week reading one chapter, getting to dig into it for like an hour or so, just really thinking about this chapter and what it says about the world and the story and where things are moving
Yeah, I think
forward.
that's my favorite part about this new way we're doing it is because we for just to peek behind the curtains, we always read the chapters together, and by
Yeah,
we read them
almost
together,
always.
I mean that Lad reads them to me like I am a child because he is a much better voice actor
I
and
don't know about that.
public reader than I am. And when I
Maybe
try
true.
to read with him, I go and then and you and that's what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah. So, but we've
So
been reading
so he reads
together.
them
It's
to
a very
me.
lovely thing.
And then we talk about it for at least an hour afterwards,
Yeah.
which has been really fun to actually try to dig into like the minutia of every panel and getting a much deeper view on it than doing 20 chapters a week.
Yeah. I think really the biggest loss is that coming into a recording like this, so much of what has been like at the front of our minds, I feel like has been lost to the sands of time over the last year, right?
Yeah.
That's been going on. Because it's not like I'm coming in hot, having dug into 20 chapters and really thinking about like, well, how do we get to the few things that I do know that are in the future from this information, right? And so,
Hmm.
you sort of get at it a different approach, and then the way that because obviously One Piece does this regardless. No matter when you're reading it, there will
Hmm.
be things that pop out and speak to you and are relevant to the times that you're in and the life that you're living. But it becomes even more
Of course.
poignant when every week there's this constant like, okay, these are the things that have been happening in my life. Now I'm reading One Piece for an hour. And then the way
Hmm.
that that shapes both your view on the story as well as the things you're interacting with and how those ideas sort of blend is one of the bigger topics I have for now. But I want to save that for when we get more into the weeds of talking specifically about God Valley. Um,
Yeah. Which is a
a
crazy
crazy
sentence that we
thing to
get
be
to
able
say.
to say. Crazy thing to be able to say that we've seen God Valley now
We
in
actually got the Don Valley flashback
yeah.
in this section. Some people said it would never happen. Some people thought it was going to be a movie that they did instead
It
of
still
actually
could be.
showing us in the manga. It still could be.
It still could be. Give me the Megami Ishitani God Valley incident movie,
Please,
please. I'm begging you.
please.
Um,
But before we get into all that, we have a few chapters before this
that's
massive
true.
flashback.
That's true.
um, which I think there are a few thoughts we want to talk about.
There's
I definitely
definitely
want
some
to talk
things here.
about Mr. Scopper Gavin.
Not his name, but yeah.
What do you mean? That of course that's his
Not
name,
how you
Mr.
pronounce
Scoper
it. Not
Gavin.
not how you pronounce it. Um, I think that
Scopper Gabon, of
yeah,
course.
Gabon. I didn't get a great chance to reread all of this section before we were able to discuss, but I did get to reread this stuff here right at the very beginning, this sort of introduction of Gabon that we have.
Hmm.
Um, and it's
Yeah.
so just like everything in One Piece, when you come back and you read something the second time, it's so interesting. Things that you didn't know when you read it the first time, and it's
Uh,
so fun coming
yeah.
back and seeing Gabon's introduction because it feels so different now that we know more about him and about the
We
truth of what happened at
now we know more
Elbaph
about
and
him and about Roger in general,
yeah,
understanding who this man was and now who he is just it's just very interesting the way
yeah.
that he has progressed. And I mean he was always kind of like this, and you see the pieces that of who he is eventually going to become in his flashback version. It's super interesting, and the everything about the power of love, as a Sanji head, is kind of the thing that is the most impactful and interesting to me.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I really
Because
love Gabon's introduction here. I think that because obviously when we first read this, it's like, oh, he's testing Luffy and he's testing Zoro. But
right.
it feels so different now because now it feels like he's like just overjoyed that he gets the chance to test this kid, that he's getting to see
Yeah.
this person that Shanks has spoken so highly of and all these different things. Like he's getting to see it in the same way that like I think there's that joy in Rayleigh when he gets to train Luffy for 2 years. I think we see
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
same sort of spark in Gabon here. Um, and
Hmm. For
the
sure.
power of love thing, it would not be the first time that Oda has done something as a joke and then it turned out to be real. You know,
Exactly.
because you think back to Alabasta where Mr. Three was floating in water, which is something that Devil Fruit users aren't supposed to be able to do. And then Oda was like, "Oh, actually, he's just on a special type of wood that floats." And then 500
It's
chapters later, he
super
uses
buoyant
that
wood.
type of wood for Frankie to be able to get them out of Fishman Island. And so Garp being
Hmm.
able to hurt Luffy because of the power of love and it not actually being hockey, but literally being the power of love. I mean, it could happen, and I would not be upset.
I think there's like a maybe like a 75% chance. I think it's a better than 50-50 that the power of love is actually a real thing. Maybe it is a form of hockey because we've talked about a little bit about this. It seems very clear to me and to us, I guess I'll say, that the way that you think about hockey is only because of how we were taught about it.
Yeah,
And that hockey is actually a much deeper and wider magic system than is presented to someone like Kobe in the Marines. It's taught in a very like rigid way of like these are the three types of hockey, and you can get two of them, but you can't get the third one because that's for special boys. Whereas I think hockey is more so just a some sort of encapsulation of your will, your spirit, and that can manifest in many different ways. And through how it's taught in Wano and Mantra in Skypiea, you see that these different cultures and the way that they think about this power has it manifest differently.
yeah. I mean, like even with as silly as it is, Sanji's like women radar observation hockey thing
Yeah,
is still
exactly.
it's applying observation hockey in a different way, and I think that it really feels like there is more to hockey. I think that a lot of this is there's more to everything than we realize. I don't think that a lot of
Yeah, I
the
know that
things that
there's
we have been
something
told.
else you want to dig
I
into
do have
there.
some thoughts about something else, which isn't. I know it's sort of brought up at the end, but I think that because part of it is I've been rereading. I just reread the end of Pre-Time Skip, right?
Hmm.
And the way that Rayleigh describes the three types of hockey doesn't feel as rigid as I feel like we have come to think of it as. Especially with Conqueror's Haki, because when Rayleigh's describing it to Luffy, he doesn't say it's a special type of Haki that people are born with. He does say that it's a special type of Haki, but he says that only like certain people have he basically says only some people have the will to do it in effect. That's not the exact language that he's using, but I don't want to pull it up in front of me right now because I can't remember exactly what he says. So excuse me that I may be misquoting Silver's Rayleigh, but to me, it feels like there is sort of a 50-50 in my head that either not necessarily that the power of love is real or not, but that Sanji either is going to have conquerors or he's going to have the power of love.
Yeah.
And whether or not those two things are even something different at all is an entirely separate question.
I was about to say,
I'm not
and there's
sure
a
that
very high likelihood that those things are at least somewhat intertwined.
Yeah. A manifestation of the same thing, in a way. Or maybe perhaps two paths to that same Conqueror's Haki.
Right.
Not exclusively about, I think back to the way that in, chapter 2, Kobe describes being king of the pirates to Luffy, about like a tyrant who rules over the seas with an iron fist, and then 500 chapters later you get Luffy's definition of actually being king of the pirates about being more free than anyone else. But both of those are still, to someone, what king of the pirates means. I think that having a dominating will as the manifestation of Conqueror's Haki doesn't necessarily mean like needing to be subjugating or above certain people, but maybe a dominating force of will is loving people so much that it manifests in that sort of way. Maybe it's striving so much to be the best you grow 4 arms and 2 heads and you're wielding 9 swords, I don't think it's necessarily, maybe it's a desire of love so much for the person you care about that you cause guards about to execute your brother to fall over, I don't think that it's exactly as simple as it's been told to us, because I think that almost nothing is as simple as it's been told to us. And I think that's really been the mantra of this section.
A story about... Yeah. Continue.
Okay, yeah, it's sort of the mantra of this section of like, oh, well, we know what happened in God Valley because it was told to us. No, we fucking didn't. That was a lie that was being told to us.
Right.
And that happens all the fucking time in One Piece. And I don't know why some things like Haki, or I'll get to this later, like Logia Devil Fruits, we assume that we know everything about, because we just don't. We didn't know everything about the Gum Gum Fruit. Yeah. We didn't know everything about Awakenings. We didn't know everything about Zoan types for a long time. Like, why do we think we know everything about everything?
Well, I think that this comes from us as anime fans and shonen action anime fans assume that when like the mentor character tells you this is how it works, that's how it works. Yeah. But Oda is so good at writing. He's like, well, Vegapunk understands the way that devil fruits work differently than Crocodile or Rayleigh, and you have these different actual perspectives, not just a lore dump. It is specific to the character who's telling you this. And unless the like few, maybe like 3 times that the narrator has actually come in and said something, we have to assume that there is a chance that these are unreliable narrators like Vegapunk or Crocodile who don't have the full information. And like you were saying about God Valley, that's Sengoku telling us that in the beginning. Yeah. Who is literally just a government worker who has read the propaganda. This is a story that is teaching you not to trust everything that you hear, because even the people who you trust to tell you things don't have all the pieces of information.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. Better than I think I could have put it off the top of my head. I think to me it's sort of I agree with you that it's very much rooted in this sort of shonen battle genre, that like when you're told something, that's how it works. But I think that Oda is very much in that sort of JoJo school of like, the people that are telling you this, they don't know shit. You know, like in JoJo, they give you all these like long list of rules about how stands work, and people are always like, "Oh, but we've seen X and Y and Z that don't work like that." Yeah, because the people telling you that information are wrong. They don't know that stands don't have rules.
Right.
That's the whole point.
You just
Like, why do we
have
assume that
you have
hockey
to
has
be able
rules?
to assume that someone is wrong about something, just because they're telling it to the camera confidently, doesn't mean that they can't be wrong.
Yeah. Which is sort of what this whole section is about, you know,
Right.
with learning about the Gods Knights and the everything, and it's a lot.
It's a lot. You want to talk about the Gods Knights?
I do want to talk about the Gods Knights. Sort of blanketly.
These bums.
These bum-ass, whack-ass antagonist group thinks they got that swag that Rob Lucci and Kaku have, and they don't have it.
They don't
got
have
shit.
it.
However, and this is one of the big notes that I have, I think that's the point of the Gods Knights. I think without, you know, because I want to talk a little bit about some of them more in particular, but I think that as a blanket, what we have seen in One Piece is that more than anything, the thing that gives you power is will, it's drive, it's dreaming, you know? You look at Luffy overcoming people like Crocodile and Moria, and then you see how Crocodile's sort of flame gets lit back up in Marineford for a little bit. And then once that situation that he's in is gone, he goes back to that sort of passive style before getting, you know, sort of slapped across the face by Buggy later in the story, which is why he's the GOAT. You see it with all sorts of characters, you know, Kobe going from the little jelly bean man to the upcoming hero of the Marines, right? But there's one thing, the Gods Knights have infinite power. They have, well, not infinite power, but they're immortal. They can't really take damage, but they don't have anything. They're a bunch of posturing, like, celestial, rich people that have been chosen as the Knights of God. But when we see them in action, what do? They kidnap children? Is the biggest feat they have is kidnapping children, killing Rocks when he's literally almost dead, and that's
after, like,
it.
Stealing Ilu's kill.
And hurting Loki when he literally can't move.
Roger and Garp's kill.
Yeah. Everything they do is not there, and it's because they're counterfeit. They've been given power. They do not have any will to use it. And I think that's,
I agree. Yeah,
to me,
that's a perfect
I think
way
that
to put it.
it's what separates them from someone like Rob Lucci and Kaku. And don't get me started on Rob Lucci because I'll go forever.
For real.
And it's
seriously,
part of,
don't get him started.
because Rob Lucci's, you know, he's also very strange because he doesn't have the same kind of dreams that we've seen in other characters. But even Rob Lucci, as weird as he is, still has a drive to do something. We've seen that he cares. The Gods Knights don't care about anything because they're nothing. And I think that that's the reason why that they feel so weak as antagonists, is because they're supposed to. I don't think that it's Oda doesn't know how to write villains anymore, because, I mean, look at what he's doing with other characters that are going on right now in the story. Look at Kaido, even though I know a lot of people don't like Kaido as a villain, but Kaido is fucking amazing, right? And clearly he's not lost how to write villains in the last 100 chapters. I don't think he's that, you know, senile, right?
Right.
And so I really do believe that it's the point that we're supposed to go, these guys are frauds. They're power without substance. And I think it also ties in a little bit to one of the grander things, like the main thing I want to talk about with this section, but I'm going to hold that for just a little bit longer.
Okay.
And sort of close with why I think that perhaps, and this is sort of a segue into one of my other topics, that Shamrock is the exception.
Interesting.
Because I'm so hung up on a few things. I'm hung up on him being in the panel of the people chasing after the One Piece, which obviously Garland was too, and we saw Garland be a jobber back in God Valley. But I think that one of the things that happens in this section that has been the most confounding to me and that I can't find an answer for is why did Garling have Shanks and Shamrock?
Yeah, that's a huge question
I
in my
think
mind as
there is
well.
something going on with those two because the thing that I can't get over ever since this was pointed out to me, I think you sent me a video talking about this. I can't remember if that's where I first heard about this. Is that
Mhm.
Shanks is the only person whose hair looks like that in the black and white manga.
Yeah,
His hair is in grayscale. It's
which
a
is the
gradient.
crazy thing to point out as like evidence.
And the
But when you
only
do
other
something for
people
this long,
and the only people for 1,000+ chapters, nobody else's hair looked like that other than Shanks. Suddenly, Shamrock and their mother have that same hair, and nobody else.
right?
What the fuck is up with that? We're bringing Reverie talk. What the fuck is up with that? I don't know what it means. I think
Reverie,
there's
what the
something
fuck is
weird
up with
about them. There's something weird, not even just in the,
my?
oh, you're a child of fate. There's something weird, more weird than that I
I
don't know what it
think
is.
I don't. I've seen many people think that because their mother hails from God Valley that they could be members of the Davy clan, and I don't think that's
I
true.
don't think that's true. I think if that's what it was, we would know already.
I think that they are descendants of Joy Boy.
That's very possible. I think it's a non-zero
I
chance.
like. I think that Shanks's Shanks and Shamrock's mother was a descendant of the actual Joy Boy or Nika or whoever you want to, it's a little foggy, but who was hiding out amongst the Davy clan for similar reasons as they were hiding out. And when Garling found them, was like, oh, well, I have to obviously have a child here, which is a weird thing to think.
But Garling's
As
a
as a knight of
weird
God,
guy.
as a celestial dragon, I think Garling has deeper plans than just being a celestial dragon. Because that isn't a very intentional choice to go have a child with this unaffiliated island nation person and for clearly for some reason, and then go to
Go
the elders
back.
and be like, hey, we should go have a rabbit hunt this place.
Yeah, we should go here and kill all the evidence that I did this and also get my kids back.
Right. And there's been a lot of traitor talk amongst the elders. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Garling, but I also don't think it is.
Yeah, I kind of
I
forgot
don't know
about
who I
that.
think it is, but I think Garling has his own plans for something and is trying to rise up the ranks, in service of that because he's doing a lot of other stuff that we haven't seen from the elders previously.
Yeah. It's all very strange. But I don't know. I'm very hung up on the red hair thing, and my assumption is that maybe whatever it is that's weird about Shanks and Shamrock is what separates Shamrock from the rest of the Gods Knights.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that I
Dude, I'm
I
sure.
go
I
back
mean,
to
it feels like
you
he
go.
probably has some sort of ambition, and it feels like he does, because he does feel different than like Sommers or Killingham.
Yeah.
Like they feel more like regular celestial dragons that we've met before, whereas Shamrock, and to a lesser extent Gunko, but Gunko is
We'll get to her
their
in a minute.
own strange thing going
We'll
on.
get to her in a minute. She's a big fucking question mark.
Yeah. But you're right. I do think that there is more to Shamrock than the other Gods Knights, which is interesting.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Where do we
I
go?
mean, maybe we just go to Gunko next.
Do you want to start? Okay.
I
Gunko,
mean,
the homunculus that I.
yeah, I mean, do you wanna go all out on the she's a homunculus idea, or
I mean, I've been saying it since day one, since she showed up, that I think Gunko was a homunculus or something like that.
Yeah. Because, like...
I don't understand why or how.
And then how does she still have some memories of Brooke or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know. She's a very confounding character because there's so many things that don't add up. Because, you know, when she was first introduced, she was not given a saint title. That has since been rectified with a volume release. So apparently that was a mistake.
Right.
It also feels a little weird of a mistake for him to make. We've seen her get possessed by Emu, like fully possessed.
Right.
It's a little unclear if he can do that or if they can do that with anyone. Because we've seen...
We've seen it done with Saturn and God Valley.
Herald, but the Herald thing seemed a little different. And it seemed much more like what happens with Saturn. And it's very, very strange, like this way for Emu to be able to like place themselves in one of the people. But more than anything, it's that the first time we see her in the timeline wise is looking exactly the same back when Rox was alive in the flower field as like Muse attendant. And she hasn't aged a day. And it doesn't make any sense. Because we know
sense, man.
Because we know the Gods Knights still age when they've got the mark. We've seen Summers and Garling and Shamrock all age, and Shanks, I guess, too.
Yeah.
So we know that doesn't prevent aging; it just gives them immortality. So what the fuck is up with her?
Yeah. The problem is that she has memories of presumably Brooke from somewhere, which is the only thing that's making me be like that is a thorn in my my homunculus theory.
Yeah, unless she's like, I don't know, but like the big thing is like every idea that I can come up with either doesn't work because of the Brooke stuff, or it doesn't work because she hasn't aged at all. Because like part of me is like, oh well, maybe she was like a normal person and then they like mind wiped her or something and they put like a fake consciousness in her head. But then how isn't she aging? Right? Like, why is she not aging? Right. It doesn't make any sense.
I think my best guess at the moment is that she is some sort of like, what's the word? Like a future vessel, almost like some like kind of like how Orochimaru worked in Naruto, which I know you haven't seen, but like. Because I'm also of the opinion that Emu is inhabiting the body of Nefertari D. Lily.
Yeah.
And so to then believe that Gunko is somehow a vessel in waiting for Emu is kind of my best guess. Again, I really am not confident on who she is, how she exists, anything to do with Gunko, because she's such an enigma.
I sort of agree that I think that she's probably like the next host for Emu or something like that. And I think it really just keeps coming back to Brooke.
Yeah.
And, you know, for those who don't know, I am the resident Brooke head. I'm a big Brooke enjoyer.
Yep.
And I've been thinking about Brooke a hell of a lot because what the hell's going on with this guy? Because we don't know his past really. We know what he was doing with the Rumbar Pirates up till his death, but at some point he was a combat vet for a certain kingdom.
Yeah, he said that he was a part of a battle convoy in the kingdom where he is from. Yeah. Which is incredibly vague.
Incredibly vague. It's also the fact that the only two people on the crew that recognize the Gods Knights when they show up are Jinbei and Brooke. How the fuck does that skeleton know about the Gods Knights? I can understand Jinbei. He was a warlord. He was a sun pirate. He was, he's got all that kind of connections
he's a fish man. He understands.
He's got connections to people that would have known about the Gods Knights. I don't think it's that unreasonable. But Brooke, He was
Yeah.
dead for
The
50
skeleton
years.
was in the Florian Triangle for 50 years.
How the fuck does he know about anything? So there's something weird going on with Brooke, obviously. I think
He
there's a
didn't
few
even know about
options.
Roger.
He didn't know about Roger. There's a few things that I think are possible. I think it's possible that whatever Brooke told us was just basically the truth with no complexity to it, and that maybe Gunko was like someone he was set to protect or something from this kingdom, and he befriended her when she was a child, and then maybe she died or she disappeared or she got kidnapped and he failed or something, and so then he ran away disgraced, and then Yorkie finds him, and then their gay love brings him back to his senses, and then so on and so forth until he ends up in the Florian Triangle, right? I think that's option A.
Mhm.
Option
Yeah.
B, what if he was a fucking God's Knight?
Yeah.
There's a chance.
This is a theory that I love. I love this theory. It makes enough sense. I'm not going to say so much sense, but it makes enough sense. Do you want to get into the Brooke is a God's Knight theory?
I mean, I just like I feel like I'm so scattered on all of these thoughts that I don't even know how to like center exactly. Cause it's just like I don't know, cause like how does he know? Cause like even if he was just a battle convoy person there, how does he know about the God's Knights? It still doesn't really add up, you know?
Yeah.
But it's also possible that maybe he was a God's Knight for a bit, and then that's how he met Gunko, or maybe he was tasked with taking her in or something, and then he sort of develops a conscience as a result. I don't know. It's all very complicated. I also,
Yeah.
it's not a good piece of evidence, but I want to highlight it because I think that it's funny. And if it is real evidence, that would be fucking unbelievable. Is that when we first
It'd be
meet
so
Brooke,
awesome.
in his clothes that he's dead in, there's one specific part of his outfit that is ripped, and it's where on the arm the abyss mark would be.
Yep.
And I don't want to say that, like, oh, obviously the first thing Brooke did when he came back to his soul was rip his sleeve and see if the abyss mark was still on his skeleton. But, like, it's possible, It's ridiculous, but it's possible. I don't know. But I do, I as the Brooke head, I need to talk a little bit about my thoughts on where I think Brooke is going with all this, because obviously Brooke is going somewhere with all this. Whether or not it happens in Elbaph, or this is something that's going to occur in a later arc, I don't know. It's a little unclear whether or not we're going to be actually taking down Emu Gunko here and then getting that all sorted out, or if we're going to wait a little bit before we have another flashback in Elbaph. We've already had two. And they were nested together, so it would be kind of crazy if we had a third one.
Yeah.
But for those obviously not familiar with our previous discussions, I have had a running theory since Brooke was introduced that Brooke, his character arc moving forward throughout the story, so from his backstory, he moves all the way through the lyrics of Binks's Brew, gets to the end, and at the end, obviously, you'll end up a skeleton, right? And then now that he's back with the Straw Hats, he has to work backwards through the song. And so, Thriller Bark is the final stanza, where he is singing songs, playing along. He's ended up a skeleton. He's spreading his tail, right? And then for a while, there was not a lot of anything. But I think that the next step was the everlasting Moonlight and Beneath the Moon Will Meet Again, The Winds Our Lullaby. And I was so focused in on all of that in Whole Cake with him and his relationship with Pedro, and Pedro's whole thing about like the dawn waiting and being under the moon and all this stuff with like the Kozuki clan being the moon and everything. And so I feel like it's very easy, I think, to go, okay, so obviously the next step for Brooke, Sunny Day's return, is Luffy wakening up to Gear 5 and becoming Nika. But none of that did anything for Brooke's character specifically. Not like him joining the crew, and not like Pedro's death, the way that those affected him, right? And
Right.
so to me, I've been sitting on, specifically, this is the stanza from the, let's see, I guess this is the Funimation version, which is the one that they actually sing in the show in English. Which is the next stanza would be, somewhere in the endless sky, stormy winds are blowing by, waves are dancing, evening comes, it's time to sound the drums. But steady men may never fear, tomorrow's skies are always clear, so pound your feet and clap your hands till sunny days return. Obviously, when you're sounding the drums and sunny days returning, Luffy is involved somehow, right?
Right.
So
We're talking about Nika.
And so to me, I am assuming that a stormy winds is Gunko. My assumption is that the stormy sky, the stormy winds, the waves are dancing, evening coming, that's all her. Is this thing, this aspect of his past that he thought was long gone, dredging up, coming back with a vengeance, trying to turn him into a slave, all of this stuff. And, you know, what do we need to defeat Gunko Imu? We need Luffy. We've talked about, I guess we didn't talk about this. We've talked about it many times over the last year, but we've not talked about in a discussion the idea that maybe with Domi Reversi that Luffy and maybe Loki, question mark, it's a little unclear right now, are the white
Maybe
pieces,
Loki,
while Dory and Broggy are the black pieces, or Emu's. We need two white pieces in Domi in the Reversi game to actually flip all the black pieces back over. So maybe the two people the one who is the sun god and the one who's proclaimed to be the sun god, are the ones that bring about the sunny days, clear the skies, bring her back to normal, or at least bring her back to what is the word I'm looking for? Like some semblance of herself. Maybe she still dies or something, but she has a moment of clarity. Getting back that stormy, clearing the stormy skies of Gunko. I feel like to me that is where Brook's next thing is that she is the stormy winds that are coming.
Interesting.
I think there's a chance that you could include the stanza as well before it, which is about, you know, challenging the seas and resting and hoisting the Jolly Roger. But to me, it feels like sort of our next big thing is this, and then maybe there's one more step with, I don't know. It's hard for me to say there's one more step, because I feel like the next step, with it being bid farewell to Weaver's Town, say so long to Port Renowned, is making it back to Laboon, because Laboon is in the Port Renowned, right? So,
right.
To me, I feel like the next step is Luffy in conjunction with Brook clearing the stormy skies. And the most obvious thing to be stormy skies that we've seen is Gunko. So there's my guess on sort of where Brook is going. Exactly how that plays out, I'm not entirely sure, obviously. But
yeah,
that's my thought, is that I think that we're setting up for the stormy skies with her appearance. So that's my Brook ramble.
Trying to think if I have anything else to say with that. Oh, guys, sorry, my cats are fighting. But because I don't know, I need to think more about it. I'm gonna keep it on the back burner.
Okay. So let's see. I guess.
So
the only major.
You want to talk about Legoland at all?
I want to briefly talk about it. I don't really have a lot to say because I don't know what the hell's going on with it. But to me, it feels weird to go like, okay, yeah, this section where they're in Legoland means nothing, and so like whatever, it's just a fun little section, because there's never just a fun little section in One Piece. There's always something to it. There's always something to it. Even Long Ring Long Land
matters.
Long Ring Long Land matters, so surely Legoland has to matter in some way, and I don't know exactly what. I reread it before this because I was like, maybe now that we've done the God Valley flashback, something will make sense to me. And nope, it didn't. I mean, the biggest thing to me is that maybe it's supposed to be a microcosm of Emu literally creating a world of playthings that are filled with humans, but that feels too on the nose and too simple, and we've already got so many microcosms of the world with the Goa Kingdom and Dressrosa that, like, why would we introduce Legoland now? It just feels like it's not really introducing anything new. Maybe there's something to the fact that Roto is playing it being the sun god, and then we meet Loki and Luffy's interaction, and maybe it was just supposed to be like a tease of there being a more violent version of the sun god, but even that doesn't really feel right. So that's sort of all I have on Legoland. Obviously, it's from before this section, but
Yeah, I agree. I wanted your thoughts because you put it on the list
I
of
did.
topics, but it's I think one day we will understand, but I don't got it now.
Yeah, I don't have the predictions for it. So I
Um,
guess before we move into the flashbacks,
or
I
anything
think we're
else you want
getting
to do
sort of
before we get back
close.
into the flashback?
Do we want to talk a little bit about Loki before the flashback at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Because you're the Loki head. I mean, not that I dislike Loki. I love Loki, but you're a bigger Loki
I
head than me.
love I've been Loki Straw Hat since basically the first interaction with Luffy. Um, and so sorry, my cat, stop being crazy. Um, so Loki as as a figure in this arc seems to embody what I was talking about earlier a little bit of the unreliable narrator and how the stories that we're told get twisted by whoever is in charge. And I mean, you know from the beginning, everyone says, "Oh, Loki, you can't trust him. You can't even we were like questioning
Questioning Luffy's judgment.
Luffy's judgment, which we should have never done
Yeah.
about Loki. And it feels very interesting to me that we have this character who is set up as a potential sun god esque figure, within the lore of Elbaph. The violent destroyer sun god that we're told about. Um, and then you meet him, and he's just a scared kid who never felt like he could be loved and never accepted the love that was given to him. And I feel like they're trying to say something, and I'm stealing a little bit from your notes about a parallel to Ace,
Yeah.
which if you want to dig in deeper, because was one of your talking
Um.
points.
Well, I mean, it has to do a little bit with the bigger topic that I want to discuss, which I can get into soon probably. But
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of overlap between Loki and Ace in this way that like they're both so scorned by the world and have sort of taught themselves that they can't be loved. Um and it's just very heartbreaking, in this way that like they're so desperately built for love. You see the way that Loki interacts with Harold in his final moments, the way that he goes to bat for Ida, the way that he treats Luffy now that they're actually friends.
Mhm.
It's so similar to Ace there on the execution stand with waves upon waves upon waves of different pirates and criminals all coming to bat for this kid who thought that he meant nothing and is seeing in this moment every one of these people cares about me.
Mhm.
And it's these people that have taught themselves from a young age, Loki being cast off the mountain, Ace going around to different people in the towns and saying, "Oh, what if Gold Roger had a son? What would you think about that? We should hang him at the front of the town and then burn him alive because he'd be so evil." It's like the same sort of thing
Mhm.
where like from this young age they were taught that they cannot be anything more, that they cannot be loved, that they are meant to be feared and loathed and nothing more.
Right.
And yet they are so capable of it, of love.
Yeah.
And I see
And once they
that in
finally
Loki.
find once they finally find love, I mean, you see what Loki does to his home village or his mom's village after he finds out what they did to Ida.
Yeah.
He was so close to admitting he was loved and to finding that within himself before everything happened and he had to become the demon. It's very tragic. It's a very Straw Hat backstory, which is why I'm
Yeah.
still on the kick of him being a Straw Hat.
Very Straw Hat backstory. I don't know. For me, it's very tough, right? Because, like, he's got almost all the marks of a Straw Hat joining the crew, right? It's very much like we get introduced to this guy, we're all told that they're evil or bad or a monster or a something, and then Luffy likes them, and then we get a tragic backstory where we learn about their parent dying and them being not loved, and then them having this greater revelation, and then we come back to the present, and Luffy's like, "You're my fucking guy," you know? It's very,
Yeah.
it's very Chopper, it's very Sanji, it's very Zoro, it's very Robin, it's very Frankie. It's, you know, it's very much that sort of same vibe that happens a lot.
Yeah.
But I am hung up on, I'm going to say it, I'm hung up on the mural.
He's hung up on the mural, guys.
Because who isn't? But in the mural, none of the Straw Hats are depicted other than Luffy, assuming you count Nika as Luffy, right? But in the mural, there's a giant with horns and a big weapon. I don't think it's a hammer in the mural, but it's, you know, might as well, right? And when you've got this person who looks kind of like Loki, while the mural also has people who resemble the Minx and Momo and maybe Yamato and Shirahoshi, all these major allies that we have gained over the course of the time skip and before, it feels like he could fit into that same realm of these people who are not crew members but are so close, like Shirahoshi, like Momo, like Yamato, like the Minx.
Yeah.
And then he is more one of our closest allies, but he's not the 10th person. Not to say that I don't want Loki to join the crew, because I love Loki, and I would be overjoyed if he was on the crew. I just don't... there's a part of me that is telling me he's not the one, and that Vivi is the one, and that we're gonna go back and get Vivi as the true final member of the crew, not 5.5, but actually 10.
Vivi is, you know, I've had a lot of thoughts about Vivi that I've said on this show. I think that she's going to get the pawpaw fruit.
I agree.
And become,
Kuma's not gonna die. We're just gonna make a second pawpaw fruit. It's okay.
Right, of course.
Just like how Momo has the dragon fruit, it's gonna be fine. Kuma's not gonna die.
Right. But I think that from an overall narrative perspective, obviously people have been clamoring for the final crewmate for years now. We all thought it was going to be Yamato. Some people thought it was going to be Carrot. I think now in the final saga, if we're getting them, it has to be Loki. If it's not Vivi, obviously.
Yeah, I think at this point...
And so I am just...
I think at this point, as much as I hate to say it, Yamato doesn't have a chance, as much as I love him. I don't think that he's the one. I think it would take some pretty crazy things to happen, a la the Odin Norse theory that I'm not going to get into for it to happen, because I just think it's complete bullshit. But I think if you're gonna introduce a new character to be the 10th, we cannot introduce them later than this. Like, Loki is already introduced this late, but he's got teases
absolutely
before.
In the end game.
I think that it's just a sort of a point where it is difficult to swallow if it's not a character we know nothing about before we meet them. And we didn't really know a lot about Loki. We had heard of him, you know? And obviously we know about Vivi. And Jinbei is a similar thing where we knew about Jinbei and then he joins the crew later, right? And so... Although, really, if you're a true Straw Hat head, you know that Jinbei joined the crew in Fishman Island. But that's beside the point.
True.
I think that, in my head, it's either Loki or it's Vivi, and to me it feels like Vivi is more likely to be the 10th person in Loki. Assuming, of course, you don't believe that Jinbei is the 10th person, which he's not. We're not even entertaining this. The manga chapters back this up. Luffy said he wanted 10 people. chapter where Zoro joins first person, chapter where Sanji joins fourth person, chapter where Frankie joins and Usopp rejoins is third and seventh. So the chapters are doing the math for you. And then what is it? Brooke has the 1 2, I think.
I think so, yeah.
The point is,
but
Brooke is 8, Jinbei's 9. We need a 10, and it's gonna be VV. I think.
Yeah, the point is we're getting one more, and it's gonna be either VV or Loki. I want it to be Loki so bad.
I really want it to be Loki too. I think I'd rather it be Loki than VV, even though I do love VV. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean of course I love VV, but.
And we could use another girl on the crew, but Loki's just he fits in so well, I think.
He fits so well with the crew. I mean, the only other point of contention is he's too big for the boat.
He's big as hell.
He's big.
He's big as hell. He's not getting on the Sunny.
But I also think that there's a fairly good chance that we're getting a boat upgrade at the end of Elbaph. So
you think so? I don't know. I guess this is sort of a segue outside of just the boat. I think the crew needs to get an upgrade at the end of this arc, by the end of it.
Yeah, or in the middle of,
or in the middle, in
by
media
the end
res,
of it, yeah.
Right? Because I think that it's a point that we're at where it's like the crew outside of Luffy, for the most part, has not really gotten stronger since Fishman Island. Zoro has gotten a new sword, which is made him a little bit stronger, but he doesn't have any control over his shit still.
Yeah, he still doesn't know really how to use his Conqueror's Haki.
Yeah. He knows that he has it now, but he doesn't know how to use it. Sanji has gotten literally stronger with the weirdo body shit.
He has unlocked his exoskeleton.
Yeah. And then Nami has Zeus.
But that didn't come from him. Yeah. You know, that's... It would feel weird to count that from like narrative perspective, because that wasn't his doing. And yeah, and Nami has Zeus.
But I think we're at the point where the strength of the crew on Fishman Island has reached the height that it can, which was taking out the Toby Ropo and I forget what the title for King, Queen, and Jack was, but them and Kaido. They have a name. I don't remember.
They're not the all.
Are they the All-Stars? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. But I think that, especially with the Gods Knights appearing, we're at a point where we need the crew to level up, I think, the final time to be ready for the final saga. I think there's some teases in here with it. I think that, to me, it feels like the impetus for change rests on Zoro. Because I think that Zoro's character arc...
Zoro is the knight of the crew. I don't like calling him the swordsman anymore. He is the knight.
And he's not the first mate. He's the knight. Or the swordsman. Yeah.
He's not a first mate. We all know this.
He's not a first mate. Ignore Netflix. They don't know.
He is the one who has the burden of being the fighter. Yeah. Luffy is the captain, and also, he fights the big guy. But Zoro is the fighter of the crew. Sanji's a cook at his baseline. Of course, he fights and is very strong, but Zoro's only role is to be a combatant. And now that Zoro is falling behind, it makes it so much more evident that people like Usopp and Robin have just not had any sort of strength gain or upgrades in 500 chapters.
Yeah. Because it's like, I think that it sort of coincides with where Zoro's arc has been going, because Zoro has been doing stuff behind the scenes, character development wise. People just don't want to pay attention to it. Really it all comes back to Thriller Bark, which is sort of a theme for this section too. But it comes back to nothing happens, and then the whole crew gets wiped out in Sabaody, and the trauma of that. And then we get back, he's strong for a while, he almost fucking dies in Wano, and then in Egghead, he cannot keep up, because they have to drag him away from fighting Rob Lucci, because he's not strong enough to take him out and get away with the crew in time. And so his primary role he failed at in Egghead.
Yeah.
Obviously, not to an extreme degree that it cost them all their lives or anything. It maybe cost a Vegapunk or two their lives, but it didn't cost the crew, right? And then you
Right.
see in
But
in the end of Egghead and the early parts of this arc, um, what happens every time when Zoro has made a mistake or when Zoro is upset. The way that Zoro reacts is he gets hostile. He gets angry. He
yeah,
projects onto
he's
other people.
angry.
He goes, "Why is Luffy crying about the stupid old man?" He goes, "We
Hmm.
shouldn't trust this chained up guy, Loki. Ignore the fact that he's literally a 1-to-1 to when you met me 1,000 chapters ago." He starts to
Right.
project. He gets angry. It's the same thing that happened in Zoe when Sanji disappeared. He goes, "We don't need the stupid cook. We can just leave him because he's scared and
Right.
because he's upset." And that's how Zoro is. And people don't know
Because
this.
he cannot express his emotions in a normal way.
And
Um,
with
in a
all
lot of
that,
ways,
you
this
go.
is maybe a reference that I haven't made. I haven't our connection I haven't made yet. He is a lot like early Bakugo from My Hero, where
Kind of.
his only way of expressing emotion is through anger and combat and strength.
And it has been ever since Kuina died.
Right. Because that was his vow when Kuina died. He had these emotions, he had these big feelings that he didn't know what to deal with, and the answer was get stronger. And so
Uh,
that has been his coping mechanism since then.
and now he needs somebody to show him how to get stronger. He's been told that he can be stronger, but he's too stupid to figure it out by
Mhm.
himself because he's Zoro. And so I think that there is going to need to be a moment where Zoro is like, "Luffy, you've got to show us the way. You've got to lead as captain, and because I can't do my job this way with the way that I am, you
Right.
know." And I think that that's the
Which I think
impetus for.
it's a very important part of his character that has been absent since Water 7. I mean, I know we said he's not the first mate, but he fulfills that role,
Yeah.
obviously.
He fulfills that role for
He is
Luffy,
second in
not for the rest of
command.
the crew, but he does for Luffy.
Right. Yeah. He keeps Luffy in check. He is his when Luffy cannot see straight, he sees straight for Luffy. And if he is unable to do his job, to be the fighter, to be the combatant, he has to ask his captain for help, which he does not want to do very
Really
clearly.
doesn't want to do it, but he's gonna have to do it. And I think that there's
Hmm.
additionally, sort of that we're in Elbaph and some of the things we've seen in this section. Like in this section, we get introduced to the weird building that's really old that Frankie saw that Vegapunk wants him to go check out. You've got
Hmm.
potentially a motivator of something like at least Saul getting heavily injured as he already has been, potentially dying as a motivator for Robin. All this shit
Yeah,
going on is
I
is
think
gonna have to knock some sense into Usopp. Chopper.
yeah.
Chopper's actually been kind of
It's
on
gonna
top
be
of this
Usopp's
shit.
arc.
It is.
Keep
I'm
keep in mind this is an Usopp arc.
keep in mind this is an ooze. Keep in mind
Eventually, right?
keep
Please.
in mind Elbaph's going on for another 50 chapters, whether you like it or not. I'm so serious.
Yeah.
Elbaph is. I don't even think we're halfway done. I really don't. Um,
I agree.
as weird as that is to say, because once again, it feels like we're heading towards the climax every time, every chapter. Um,
Right. But I think the part that was the revelation for me when we had this question earlier, I think this week or last week when you asked me how long do I think Elbaf is going to go. Luffy, even through the path of beating Emu, Elbaf would still be unchanged if that happened. And that cannot be.
yeah,
Luffy has to change an island for the better before the arc is done. Unless it is a Sabaody
or an
where
egghead where we have to
we
retreat.
lose. And I don't think that we I mean again, maybe we are in the dark timeline right now where we're just going to keep taking L's and that's what's going to motivate change, but I don't feel like it is.
I don't think
It
so
doesn't
either.
seem right at the
I
moment.
think that we are going to win with loss.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to lose here, but I think we might lose Saul, we might lose Dory and Broggy, we might lose all three.
Mhm.
Maybe we lose the children, but we don't lose any of the big dogs. I don't know if I don't know if Oda's got it in him to let us lose the children though. Um,
I mean, I don't know. I think it's actually very possible because a lot of this arc is centered around how Elbaph has changed,
Yeah.
and it would be interesting to see. Oh well, if the children are gone, we get the all the
Yeah.
old giants back
What does Elbap
in
become when he
fighting
loses his
shape,
future?
right? Which is interesting. I don't know if it's what Oda's wanting to do right now, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I agree with you that
it's
I think that
interesting.
something else has to. It's not just take out Emu.
Yeah,
What exactly it is, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, part of it is I think that we need to move away from their strict movement towards peace, which I'll get into maybe soon.
yeah,
Um, I know
yeah.
I keep
Peace.
put
I mean, yeah. Once
I
we start
keep
talking
pushing
about
this.
Harold, which we will be talking about Harold and Rocks or
Yeah,
Davy, whatever you want to call him. I still like calling him Rocks
it's
personally, but
him and Hancock are the only two people that anybody calls with their last names. It's very strange. Boa and Rocks, the only ones. What if we just went around and
right.
started calling him Roanoa?
Yo, my favorite anime protagonist, Monkey.
Oh God, I love Nico, dude.
Oh, I didn't like that one.
Fucking Tony, that's my guy.
Anthony?
Anthony, I love him. Silly little reindeer. Um,
But yeah.
but yeah, I think that the crew needs to get stronger, and I think that there's a lot of impetus for change for almost all of them here in Elbaph. At the very least, Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Robin, Jinbei, probably, Frankie, maybe
Sanji.
Brook.
Did we say
I
Sanji?
said Sanji. Maybe Brook. I think you could find an argument for Chopper, although Chopper's kind of been on top of his shit this arc.
Chopper is locked
Say
in.
what, say what you will, Chopper's been locked in.
I need Chopper to go brain point scope on Gunko.
Scope isn't real. That's a myth created by pre-time skip deranged people. That's me. Um,
Yeah, it's you.
it's me. He needs to go Horn Point for the first time in 600 chapters. Why did we even fucking introduce it? Should have been his main design. Anyway,
Please use the points better.
Horn Point is so
But
fucking cool.
I genuinely think that like with Gabon being here, I think that there is either during or after the combat going to be some sort of training arc because Gabon is one of the best like actual combatants that we've seen. Like he is a martial artist, well not a swordsman but an axeman.
Yeah,
Um,
a mountain eater.
right, and I feel like he's going to fulfill the Rayleigh role for the crew, not just for Luffy here.
Yeah,
You know, Luffy had Rayleigh, the rest of the crew gets Gabon kind of thing.
yeah. Gets Gabon and Luffy together because I think Luffy's gonna help the crew evolve here.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see Luffy as a teacher, which I can't believe I'm saying
Yeah.
with how stupid this boy is.
He's dumb as rocks, but he cares about his friends and he will help them no matter what it
Right.
takes.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's I think that's most of what I have to say about outside of the flashback, which is a lot more than I thought had to say about it, but
yeah, me too.
so
It's a lot. We talked a lot about stuff from before this chapter as well.
that's true.
To be fair.
That's true.
Do we want to talk about the flashback now?
God, do I ever. Where do we fucking start? What do we want to start with?
I mean,
Do we just want to rip
The
the bandit off and
beginning?
talk about Harold and Rocks?
I wanna wait a little bit because I feel
Okay.
like I want to talk about that sort of in conjunction with other points that I know we'll be end up making.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit more about Loki because
love
Loki
to talk about
in the flashback is we see where he comes from. We see the circumstances of his birth literally. And it is just horrific.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
awful.
you literally see him be born with these demonic eyes for some reason. We don't really understand why, as far as I can
We don't know what's
remember.
up with that yet. We know that he covers his eyes
I
because of
think
it.
that
We don't know
there's-
what they do.
Some sort of curse or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Luffy's gonna love it
Then
though when
is
he sees
li-
that shit. I know for a
Oh
fact there's
yeah.
going to be a page where he's going to show the eyes to Luffy, expecting him to say something mean. He's going to be like, "That's so cool." He's going to do the thing that Sanji did in Whole Cake.
Yeah, I was about to say he's gonna pull a Sanji pudding
Yakuza
moment.
3 style, beautiful eyes. You know, that's what Luffy's going to say. Shoutouts to all my
But yeah,
Yakuza
I
3
mean,
heads in
it's
the chat.
shouts out. But yeah, I mean, we see him literally get dropped into the underworld the second after he was born because he was weird and a
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah. Speaking of, on the mention of that language, one of the topics I want to bring up is the word monster. Because I
Yeah.
think that it's important.
Yeah, it's very important.
I think that there's more to it than just it being the thematic thing. Because, you know, obviously all the crew have been called monsters. Luffy's made of rubber. One guy's got a sword in his mouth. One guy's a cyborg. One guy's got a blue nose. One of them's a skeleton. One of them grows limbs. You know, they're all freakazoids, right? And so, we get this language here with Loki calling him a demon or a monster specifically. And then later at the end, skipping ahead a little bit, but not to talk about it in super big detail, after Loki stops Emu's plans of possessing Harold and taking everything over, Emu says, "What sort of monster in bold, could have done this?" And so to me, it makes me think that monster, not necessarily that, like, everything has to have some meaning in the same way that, like, people do the, like, every person has to be related to somebody shit, which maybe I'm diving a little bit too close to. But I think that language is important. This is a work of literature. Language and word choice is important. And I think that it's interesting that Oda specifically focuses so much on always referring to the Straw Hats, especially Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, as the monster trio. And to have Emu specifically, of all fucking people, the devil from the Bible, be calling someone a monster in bold, I think is... To me, it feels like maybe there is something to being a monster, to being this sort of outcast that is... Whether or not it's something literally like, oh, you're a type of creature, I don't think is necessarily the case, but sort of a mentality that being that label connotates, that brings about the certain kinds of people that have the ability to change the world.
Yeah.
The kinds of people that can stand up to a demon, if that makes any sense, or a devil.
Right.
Like Emu. And I think that's what makes
Loki
so interesting. Part of it.
Yeah, because we obviously we see Emu as this demon of sorts. You know, it's not a crazy thing to say. And
it's not out
for
there to say
them
it's a devil.
to have this, for them to have this sort of opinion of anyone who opposes me is a monster, is wrong, is a demon, whatever. It's interesting. I don't think I have a full point about it, but it's interesting.
Yeah. And to me, I think more than anything, this is what feels like the strongest evidence that Loki will join the crew to me, is the way that he is labeled a monster time and time again, even by Emu themselves.
Right.
Because I think if there's one thing that to me Vivi does not feel like, it is a monster.
True.
Now, is there a world where a Vivi that has the power of the pawpaw fruit, that's been marked for death by the world government and is on the run and is in exile and is maybe a fallen princess, could be described as a monster? Yeah, sure, probably. But she's not there right now.
Yeah, sure.
In the same way that Loki has been ever since literally he was a minute old. How old are you? I'm 3 years old. You're the youngest person ever, looking ass. You know what I mean? Like, ever since then, ever since he was the youngest person in the world, he's been a monster.
No one's gonna get that reference.
They might. I don't know. You mentioned Bug Month. I don't want to hear it.
Well, yeah, it's Bug Month, baby.
Okay. But I don't know. I fucking love Loki, you know?
Yeah, he's great. He's the best part of this arc.
He
except
really
for
is.
maybe his dad and Rock.
Except for maybe all the other stuff that's really
But they're
good.
not really a part of this arc. That was like their own. They had their own mini
They
arc
had their own
in the
art
middle of
in
this
the middle
one.
of it, yeah. And And just the way that he's blamed for everything, like Big Mom and like the storms and the winters and the droughts and the everything is just so, ugh. This poor child, this poor kid, man. Just nothing, nothing can ever go right for him.
After we get the Loki stuff, we see how he idolizes Zebek, which is important.
Yeah.
We will be coming back to this later. We see his adoration for Zebek, which I haven't thought a ton about, more than like the little bit that we talked about the other week. But I know it's important because how do I word this? You can help me out too if you got.
I'm not sure exactly where you're going with this, so I don't know exactly how to help.
Okay. So it's important that the child of Harold is so enamored with his greatest friend and his greatest adversary. Because Rox or Davy D. Zebek, however you want to talk about him, it's hard now, is the most piratey pirate we've seen. Like, I think everyone felt it when we were reading this flashback. He immediately became a fan favorite character for just how big he is. Like, his presence, his aura, if you want to call it that, on screen. Just it captures something about this story. He is Luffy-esque, he's Roger-esque, but he is also the father of Blackbeard. And he's just this culmination of all of the different aspects of a pirate that we've learned to love in this series come together. And he was not what anyone expected, right?
I think we all sort of expected this evil, demonic, psycho, violent kind of guy, and instead he is just passion and drive personified to such an extreme degree. To me, it feels very similar to the way that Whitebeard is in Marineford, where you have this very tiny window of like less than 20 chapters where you get to know this guy from the moment you're introduced to him as he's already a legend to the moment that he dies. And you just get in this tiny, so brief of a window, smaller than it took for Luffy to finish fighting Katakuri, you get to know everything about this person and what made them tick and how the world shaked and moved and felt around them. And it's just so enrapturing that he's still able to make characters like Zebek just pop out of the screen. And it makes me so excited for what the future holds, because there's bigger things than this guy. We're gonna get a Joy Boy flashback eventually. We haven't met the person with the eye patch who's supposed to be the most piratey pirate that ever pirated, which is probably Joy Boy. We don't know if it's gonna be Joy Boy. It could be somebody else. It could be the Burn Scar guy. It could be Luffy. It could be anybody. It could be Davy Jones. It could be Davy Jones. It could be Joy Boy. It could be Luffy. It could be the man with the burn scar. Maybe the man with the burn scar is Davy Jones. Fuck if I know, dude. God, Zebek is so awesome. And I think the way that he just permeates throughout this story, and the way that he bounces off of Harold, and the way that he breathes this life into the world around him is so, so cool. I really love it.
That's kind of what I was. You said that much better than I could.
Thank you.
I was able. Yeah.
You prompted the thoughts out of me, so don't cut yourself too short. Okay.
Okay.
So
then Harold.
The
Harold the failure.
Harold the failure. The man who tried harder than maybe anyone and yet made the biggest mistake he could.
He wanted peace so badly. And he wanted to shape Elbaph and shake it away from its violent roots. That he went too far. Is the main crux of his issues.
Went so far.
Because peace at any cost is not worth fighting for.
Yeah, peace at any cost.
It matters.
Peace is not worth throwing away your history and your allies and your friends and your culture to lick the boots of a sovereign that would promise you peace, but peace, what they mean by peace, is servitude and not freedom.
Right.
Which is a way that I had not thought about wording
Man.
it until it came out of my mouth, and it felt very good.
Yeah, it was sick.
Okay, so while we're on the topic of Harold and Zebek, I want to talk about my main topic, if you will allow me to go off.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So,
I'm excited for this one.
as these chapters were releasing, a friend and I, the friend of mine that is not Misfit, were reading. Well, she had recommended I read something, and I was reading through this book called. Well, hold on. Let me make sure I know who the author is so that I can give it to you all. I don't have this pulled up in case you're curious about reading it yourselves, which you don't have to. But it was thought-provoking. Sorry, hold on. I should have pulled this up.
Unprofessional.
I'm so unprofessional. Okay.
Which is something
so
that we're known for being.
It's a book. It's a book called Conversations with God, written by Neil Donald Walsh. It's a very specifically. I'm referencing book 1. I have not read the other books. The first book is mostly about the self and the relation to the world and all this other stuff. And by the title, it's not like specifically a book about Christianity or anything. It's more about sort of almost like a deistic perspective. It's a very fascinating read. There's a lot of things in it that I agree with and a lot of things in it that I vehemently disagree with. But the main point of that book, which is I have found so poignant in literally every part of my life, whether it be reading One Piece, actually doing real life things, other stories that I've been reading, books that I've been reading, movies that I've been watching, is the way that they describe it in the book is that ultimately there are two emotions. And then everything else is a spectrum in between those two extremes. And on the one extreme, you have love. And on the other extreme, you have fear. Mm-hmm. And that everything that happens is either you being constrained by fear, held back by fear, limited by fear, or striving and pushing and moving forward towards joy. And to me, I feel like the entirety of the God Valley flashback is so dead set on this love-fear dichotomy, and it's almost like it's a case study on it, specifically with Zebek and Harold, because they embody the opposite spectrums, everything. They're opposites in everything, and that's why they're so weird, because they're the closest friends in the world, and yet they're opposites in everything. Because, as we were sort of just describing, Zebek is the most piratey pirate that we've ever pirated, and how did the main character of the goddamn story describe being the most piratey pirate that ever pirated? It's about being more free than anyone else. Being a joy boy. And one of the other words for that they use in conjunction with love in the book is joy, is one of the other major, like, closest bits to love. And so Zebek, in everything that he does throughout the whole of this flashback, is striving and moving towards love. Love strives him to push back against Emu, who I'll get to in a minute. Love pushes him to gather all these wonderful pirates and give them a home. Love strives him to welcome in Shaki and create this like sort of, lovely environment in the world of destruction and piracy and fear. Love pushes him to try to convince Harold to join him and move towards a new future. Love pushes him to create this plan that he never gets to enact on. Love drives him to his death to protect his kid and his wife. Oh, I presume it's his wife. Maybe it's not. We don't know that for sure. His lover.
I think it's his wife. Yeah, his baby wife. Mama, at the very least.
But it is love that drives every aspect of Zebek's life, and yet, in his final moments, he is defined by fear. He is controlled, he is held back, he dies thinking that he might have killed his own son, and is forced to be put down by Roger and Garp as he begs them to end him. Everything that made him who he was stripped away, all of the joy, all of the passion, all of the dreams, and nothing is left but fear, control, limitation. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Harold, who, outside of when he was, younger and reckless and violent, basically post meeting Ida, his life is
Yeah.
defined by fear. And that fear
Yeah.
manifests as his desire for peace, which actually, if I remember correctly, which maybe I'm wrong, I didn't get a chance to reread all 250 pages of this book before this session, even though I kind of wanted to. Um, in not inherently peace, obviously not inherently peace is bad. Peace is a good thing, but this striving towards peace in the way that Harold does is very characteristic of fear, because the number one thing that he is afraid of ultimately is change. He's trying desperately to create a world where his people have their history erased and they are just another one of the milquetoast standard factory issue countries of the world government that exist in this peace that they create, and they will never change. But that's not living. That's not striving towards joy. He is trying to rip away all these different things that make him who he is, that make his people who they are. Even to the end with Zebek, he's trying to convince him to not go, to hold back, to not push towards love, to not fight for the love that he has for his family.
Right.
And it is that fear that drives Harold to go, okay, I can't go with you. I cannot join you on this journey. I cannot join you on this beautiful dream. I cannot marry the woman that I love. I cannot actually make her my queen because I have to do things the way that the culture says I have to do them. I can't, go on living as an ancient giant. I have to rip out my horns and restrict myself. I have to submit to the world government in order to become something, because I'm afraid that if I don't, then the people that I love in this world that I believe in will cease to exist. And he takes that to the extreme of getting the Abyss Mark and becoming one of the God's Knights, and then he's taken over, and just like Harold, in his final moments, he's defined not by fear, but by love for his son, for his people, for his country, and all he wants is for them to be free and to be saved, to not be subjugated to Emu. He realizes his mistake. In the last moment, he realizes that his life has been defined by fear, and that instead, he can live with love for a brief moment before his son is forced to take him out.
Yeah.
And I think
that's so good.
Me, that is
there was so much of that I was trying to get to, and I'm so glad you. This is why I love doing this with you, is because you're so good at putting all of it together.
To me, that is the heart of what makes Zebek and Harold so interesting. But I think that you can't just look at them, because you have to pull out and look at the grander narrative. And if you look at the grander narrative, you've got a person named Joy Boy, and you've got their eternal enemy, cloaked in shadow, who controls the world and defines everything and makes sure that nothing can change, nothing can be out of their system. And despite the fact that they're in control all the time, we've seen them afeared many times. Like when the hockey knot got unleashed, like when the God's Knights get owned, like when Zebek shows up in the flower field, like when Harold gets killed by Loki, like when Luffy awakens to the devil fruit for the first time. We've seen this person who is supposed to be in control of everything is defined by fear, because Emu is not like Harold. He is not fear with love at its center, and he's not like Zebek with love with fear at his center. Emu is fear personified. Every negative aspect of life and of restriction of the self is defined by Emu, and the opposite force of that is Luffy, who has time and again, over and over and over and over again, been a unabashed force for love, whether it be a errand boy on Alvida's ship, whether it's a man tied at the cross being starved to death, a woman who's betrayed him for Arlong, a monster on an island covered with snow, a desert. Everywhere he goes, every single person that Luffy meets, he infuses this love into everything that he does. And so then, if Luffy is joy personified, which I believe that he is, and Emu is fear personified, which I believe that they are, what the fuck is Blackbeard? Because Blackbeard...
Once again, The big
The
question:
biggest
what the
question,
fuck is
what the
up with
fuck is up with
Blackbeard?
Blackbeard? Because Blackbeard, I think, completes the trinity of, if you've got Luffy, you've got Blackbeard, you've got Emu. In a sense, you've got Joy Boy, you've got Davy Jones, you've got Emu, right? Who presumably the three of them were at least acquainted in the Void
Enemies at some
Century in
point in the
some way.
past.
At some point in the
Right.
past, and then Emu has outlived them because of their whatever the fuck is going on with them. And so to me, I feel as though Blackbeard has to be this weird middle ground because his childhood very clearly
Yeah.
is defined by fear. Running away, watching his father turn into a
Yeah.
monster in front of him and try to kill him, barely saved by Kuma, the fucking goat.
The goat.
And at the moment, we don't know if they were sent to the same place. Kuma had literally had the pawpaw fruit for maybe 30 minutes tops. So perhaps he thinks that his mother has been dead this whole time. We know that Eris probably alive still, most likely.
Yeah, at the
I
very
would say
least.
I would say pretty likely that she's alive. If Kuma saved her, I don't think that she died off screen at this point. Unless we get a Blackbeard flashback that's more direct. But I don't actually know if we're going to get that, because I don't know if we really need that to make Blackbeard what he needs to be.
Yeah.
But because the thing is that Blackbeard is Luffy's opposite, right? He's supposed to be Luffy's opposite in every way.
Yeah, in every way that matters, they are, or in
every way that doesn't matter. In every way that doesn't.
In so many ways that matter, they are the same, and in so many ways that matter, they are the exact opposite.
Yeah, and so I think that, to me,
they're parallels.
To me, Blackbeard, part of this is also, the way that the visuals of his two devil fruits are often depicted with the blackness of the dark fruit, and usually sort of a white energy of the quake fruit. This sort of mix of light and dark, this yin and yang, this joy and fear, or this love and fear, that he is defined by. To me, that seems like the most logical conclusion, and I think that's part of why Blackbeard might be more interesting as a final antagonist than Emu. Because Emu is just evil. They are just fear. And One Piece is not about eliminating and just completely opposing fear. It's about recognizing that you have that fear and overcoming it. That's what Luffy does every
Usopp
arc.
Is gonna kill Emu.
That is why Usopp is gonna kill Emu. But you see it in every one of the Straw Hats. They've all had fear and overcome it. Luffy did it as a child. He's done it again since, but he had that fear of being alone. He found it in Shanks and in Ace and in Sabo and in the crew. We've seen it with Zoro, who still kind of needs to get to the love part, buddy. We've seen it in Sanji. We've seen it in Nami and Usopp. Every single one of the crew has had that same progression. And so Blackbeard being someone who, while he has all of these things, the one thing that he can't do is dream. He can't make it all the way to love.
Literally.
He is a person who is the opposite of Luffy, not because he is fear personified, but because he's joy personified that loses to fear.
Interesting.
That is my
oh, that's so good.
My conversations with God fueled theory mind meld that I had like 2 months ago while God Valley was still going on. That's my best attempt at putting it into words as best I can. I think there's some other interesting things, like I think this is part of why the Gods Knights are so nothing, is because in a different way than how Blackbeard is neither love nor fear, they're nothing. They aren't defined by fear, and they aren't defined by love. They're defined by nothing because they're just, literally empty.
I mean, yeah, they're celestial dragons who were given power.
Yeah.
And celestial dragons are almost cattle-like.
Yeah.
Which is what another thing that's like a half-baked theory of what is the point of the celestial dragons from Emu's perspective. But like, they don't do anything. They have no will. They have no dream or desire. They are hollow and empty.
Yeah.
And when you give that near infinite power, or at least infinite durability, if we want to talk in power scaling terms, they're just hollow. They're empty and have nothing to them.
Yeah, like even though fear is negative, it's still an emotion.
Right.
And I think what I'm reminded of, maybe a weird pull. I'm reminded of a YouTuber, Shay Frillis Productions. You probably heard of because he's like huge. Um, Always has this
Yeah.
thing where it's like, if a movie makes me feel nothing, it's worse than if a movie makes me genuinely angry at how bad it is.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather feel
Mhm.
something than nothing. And to me, the God's Knights are the
Yeah.
epitome of feeling nothing.
I mean that like for like a to that point on my in like a very small and like off topic uh reference, the Avatar: The Last Airbender TV show I think is worse than the movie because it's just nothing.
It's toast.
It
Like
like at
it's
least
plain
the
toast.
movie is yeah. There's just no substance to it. And in that same way, the God's Knights, I don't like except for Shamrock, which we talked about a little bit earlier. I feel nothing for them. Like yeah, Killingham is hot and Summers is like
Somers is interesting, but he's still.
Summers is interesting, but not from a way that I like care about his like journey or
Oh
thoughts
yeah,
or
I agree with you.
feelings.
I think that he has an interesting
Like
perspective and he says interesting things, but I don't really care about what his deal is necessarily.
I care more about him like as a case study of what the celestial dragons are taught
Yeah,
from like a cultural perspective
I agree with
than
you.
Somers as an individual.
I agree with you.
And so, yeah, I think you're right. It's to do with them being hollow and nothing. And so, what is Blackbeard? He is a black hole.
Yeah.
He is the almost the embodiment of nothingness, literally through his power of a black hole.
And yet he still believes that dreams will never die.
Right.
What a strange man Marshall D. Teach
What
is.
what is who is this guy? What the fuck is up with Blackbeard?
God, I wish I had the answer to that question, but I certainly don't. I certainly don't.
Because if we have the personification of joy and fear, and then if he is the personification of nothingness, what is that? But he's not. But he's
Well,
not
I don't
exactly
know. I don't
that.
think he is. I think the God's Knights are more nothing. I really do think it's that he is. I guess you could even word it as love being absorbed by the black hole, sucked away.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Blackbeard is an enigma.
Is he suppression? Is he suppression of will? Like,
It's
you
just
know,
so
he
hard to say when
suppresses
we don't
devil
know
fruit
enough about
powers.
him.
Yeah.
I think that by the end the answer will be clear where he fits into this
Oh yeah, for
dichotomy
sure.
between the two of them. Very clear, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I guess my
Yeah, I
only
mean,
other note on this topic in reference to conversations with God is that the book also talks about how music can be used as a the specific word is emotional synchronization is the way that it's worded in the book. And so to me, I feel like that is what I think of with the drums of liberation is this literal music beating out of Luffy's heart that synchronizes people into that love, that joy, right? Which isn't a super notable thing. I mean, it's kind of almost sort of in the text with the way that Zunisha interacts with it, but I wanted to mention it because it's also
yeah.
something that I pulled as a reference from that book.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I think that the the thing that's the most interesting to me about the Drums of Liberation is its interaction with Emmett, which we know so little about,
Yeah.
and how like almost as if like the will or the because it's some sort of embodiment of will,
Something
whatever
like
that
that.
really means. And how that is maybe tied into what Vegapunk was talking about like that power and like energy are such a it hasn't been important to the actual story, but in terms of like history of the world, how they shape the world and shape war and everything. And so if will could be a power source, and maybe there is something to do with the Mother Flame and fucking and the Vegapunk and all that stuff. I'm just talking out loud. I'm thinking out loud right now. But it's interesting at the very least.
Yeah. Let's see.
Because how does Emmett wake up when he hears the drums, and how did he wake up 200 years ago? Like, make it make sense.
I don't know, man. I don't have the answer. I wish I had the answer. I don't got it. I got no clue. I really don't know.
I don't got it.
Let's see. What other notes do I have about the flashback? Because I don't have much left to say. Most of it was about Harold and Rox, right?
Yeah.
I guess on the topic of Rox and his plan, I think is a time where it's worth mentioning, even though I don't have particularly good answers to this, just mentioning Moria. I think this is maybe the time to mention Moria, because in this section, during guys, Yamato's cover story, we learned that motherfucker is a Kozuki. What the hell, Oda?
What the fuck, Oda?
But I'm mentioning it because part of his plan, and there's the thing about finding Galila, these ancient, like these giants that are legends, and they're supposedly frozen corpses, and then Strusen, the guy that grooms Big Mom, is like they're not coming back to life. You'd have to be able to bring them back from the dead or something. And the only person we've seen able to make zombies is Moria. And then I was rereading the early parts of Elbaph, and in the early parts of Elbaph from before this section, Blackbeard specifically gets upset about them losing Moria when Kobe attacked. And the fact that Moria came back right before this, and then, I don't know, and the fact that somebody higher up wanted him killed when Doflamingo tried to assassinate him. There's some weird shit going on with Moria. I think that he's the key to something. He's probably going to end up with Crosskilled, and they're going to unlock it. I don't know what the fuck it is, but there's something going on with them and him.
Something going on with Moria.
And I wanted to mention it because it's somehow related somewhat to the plan. Speaking of, do you have any thoughts about what the two devil fruits are? One of them is one of them must be
one
Nidhogg.
Of them is,
assuming, of course, Loki is Nidhogg.
Yeah, it's Nidhogg for sure. Which, I mean, we might be finding out in a number of minutes.
We might find out today. That might be public knowledge by now, but we don't know yet.
Yeah. It's for sure Nidhogg. He can fly.
Yeah. I mean, if its true power will only be unlocked if an ancient giant eats it, then it's got to be Nidhogg. So
yeah, and with everything to do with, I mean, there's also a bunch of with like Ratatoskr that we haven't like talked about, but I don't think there's enough to think about there even yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Plus, I don't think that would be what Harold eats. And then I know a lot of people are thinking the other one is the gum fruit, but there's something about it that tells me it's not. There's something in my bones that makes me feel it's not.
I agree. I just don't agree for some reason. Like, yeah, it kind of makes sense for it to be the gum fruit, to be the other fruit that Harold or that Zebek was talking about in the plan. But it don't feel right.
Something about it doesn't feel right. To me, it feels like my best guess is maybe it's the dark fruit, and there's more to it than we realize.
Yeah,
not to I think everything has to be a mythical human fruit, like he's the Tsukiyomi or something, which is possible, but like or the Davy Jones fruit. I think the
dark fruit at least has more to it than we are.
Yeah, almost assured.
Than we are led to believe. Yeah. Is there anything? I mean, well, we really didn't even talk about God Valley and Roger and Garp because, dude, being a Garp fan during God Valley was harder. Was God's toughest challenge.
Not my fault that your favorite character is a bootlicking piece of shit. Garp is such a complicated piece of shit.
Yeah,
it's
so tough, man, because obviously Garp is not an evil person, but he's bad at decision making.
Yeah,
I guess. Like, it's so hard to justify Garp, but at the same time, I think everyone understands, like, oh yeah, well, it's just Garp. He's not a bad guy, but he is a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, he is a bad guy.
But
it's like, so much of it is he sees all of this and still chooses to stay with the government, and it's like, I understand his perspective about, like, well, what about all these innocent people who've been hoodwinked by Emu to joining the Marines, and they're being exploited by this thing, and then I have to do something for
Right.
these people. But also, I mean, I guess in his defense, nobody had been trying to change the system from the inside at that point, as opposed to like
Hmm.
Kobe or Fujitora now, who are like, guys, it's been like 80 years. You gotta fucking hang up the hat. You gotta join up with the Straw Hat Pirates and beat the shit out of the government, Um, and it informs so much of like what we've seen of Garp, like him wanting Luffy and Ace to be Marines because it's a way that he could protect them from the world, because he knows their
Hmm.
connection to things and places and people in the D, and how that would put them in the path of Emu, and how that eventually ends up getting Ace killed, and all that sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but then like him not even giving it anything to Dragon, just Dragon's whole like, I can't trust you, I hate you now, and he's like, I get it. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
even, he's not even like a, look, I know everything's fucked up, but I gotta protect people. And obviously that excuse wouldn't work on Dragon, but like he has this potential to be someone who could have joined the revolution or worked with Roger, because they
Yeah.
hadn't
I mean,
pinned him
he was
down yet. He didn't have that the ball and chain on him that he did when Ace was captured, that he has in the present.
right. He wasn't the hero of the Marines just yet when
Yeah,
Roger asked him to join him.
yeah. And so, like, even once
And so
again,
it's
Garp
really
continues to be this
sad.
character where I understand every single decision that he's ever made, and yet I believe that he's wrong.
He's wrong in all of them.
He's wrong
Yeah.
every time he's wrong, but I understand how he comes to make those decisions, and I understand how his life
Right.
and the events surrounding them lead him to those positions.
Right.
And I really love Roger in this section
You want to
too.
talk? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Roger's great. I don't have
I
a lot
feel,
to say
yeah. I
about
mean,
him other than he's great, and I think it's very
yeah.
fun to see
It's
him.
it's just awesome. It's so fun to just see him
Yeah.
in like even like before his prime, really.
Yeah, this is before his prime. This is before he became the legend that he became.
Right. And we just get to see how he interacts, how he's so much like Luffy, but also not in so many
Yeah.
ways. I mean, we call this the Goon Valley incident for a reason. With everything to do with Shaki, which I think we have some to talk about
I
in
do have a small note
in a
about
little bit.
it. I can even just say it right
Um,
now because it's not a very long note.
yeah.
On specifically, I guess Shaki, and as an extension, the rest of the Amazons. When they're
Hmm.
introduced in this section, Oda dedicates a whole chapter to how they are important and they changed the world, and they were just as, if not a bigger deal than Roger and Garp and Zebek were at this time. And the only thing
Hmm.
they do in the whole section is be a damsel in distress. Oda, come
Yeah.
on, man.
It's
Come the
it's
fuck
not the
on,
best
bro.
look.
It feels like he had all these ideas for how he was going to show us how cool Roger and Garp and Zebek and Whitebeard and Dragon and Kaido and everybody was, but he didn't know how to do it with the
Uh-huh.
Amazon, so he just told us they were cool. And it feels like a
Yeah.
shame to me, because I would have liked to
Hmm.
see,
I agree.
I mean, obviously we saw Gloriosa and Shaki just dog walking the Roger Pirates and stuff, but like it doesn't
Right.
feel like I wish we could have gotten, I don't know, Gloriosa having like a huge moment on God Valley, just to give her a cool action scene where she helps save
Yeah, like
her
there's no reason that she
Shaki,
couldn't have been a part of like
of
that big
Shaki's
team
rescue
up
with
moment.
Rayleigh. Like she could have, or even she could have
Yeah.
been there, I don't know, for killing the Beck or something, anything, just to give somebody else something to do. I just think that it's weird that they sort of tell don't showed us with them.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, I mean, I'm not so mad about this. You can't win them all,
you can't
but
win them
it's just
all.
it feels
Oda
bad when it
is
happens
it
to
feels,
the Island of Women when
yeah, it feels a little bad when
I
it's,
was excited to see. I was just excited to. I guess I was excited and then disappointed by the lack of impact that they actually ended up
yeah.
having. But overall, obviously,
But overall, God
great,
Valley
great
incident really
flashback.
lovely. I think paradoxically, out of all the stuff we've talked about, I think the part of the God Valley flashback that I enjoyed the most was Dragon.
Yeah,
I
I think
really
that's
love Dragon.
easily.
I think, at least for specifically the God Valley incident, obviously the broader flashback has more stuff with Harold and Zebek, but Dragon is really the
Mhm.
highlight. Seeing the moment that radicalized Dragon is, I just think, awesome, and it makes me so
It was
excited
awesome.
to see Dragon in action for real, like to see
Now,
really
yeah,
what he believes and how he composes himself. Um, and I think, especially, now reading this, having just read the Luffy backstory like 2 days ago, where you see the moment that
hmm
radicalizes Sabo, and that Dragon is there, and
right,
Dragon gets to be what Garp wasn't in that moment for
hmm
Sabo. In the way that Garp was like, can't fucking do anything about it. Sabo was desperately trying to get anybody to listen to him, and Dragon is the only person just to, like, I know I can't do anything right now, but I will change this world in the future. You have to believe me, kid. You're not
right,
alone in this, you know? Um,
hmm
and the way that he just goes
very,
he gives his everything in this section to make
hmm
things right, and he's not able to. And it's kind of devastating. And it makes me very excited to see
yeah.
Dragon and also Sabo. I'm just very excited to see the Revolutionary Army really get to take the center stage eventually.
Please show us the revs, man. Show us what they're doing. There's so much. There's just so much in this story to focus on. I understand that he can't focus on everything at once, but
Yeah.
man, there's a lot that I still am wanting.
Yeah, but there's so much crazy shit in here, like learning about the existence of the Davy clan and Zebek
Yeah,
being
Davy Jones
Davy
as a
Jones'
real
descendant.
person.
Yeah.
Zebek being White or Blackbeard's dad
Yeah, there's just so much there's
is
so much shit
was
in
new in
here,
here.
you know. And there's even like fun little moments like Kaido eating the dragon fruit that we get to see and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
It's just such a
I really
lovely
enjoyed
time.
seeing Big Mom and Kaido in this
Oh, Big Mom
section
and Kaido were so fun in this
being
section. It's so fun having the two of them
yeah.
be the comedic relief characters in a section, like a la like Zoro and
Right.
Sanji like bickering. It's very funny,
hmm
considering what we've seen of them in the present.
Right.
Let's see. Do I have anything
But
else?
yeah, I mean
Do we have anything else on the
it's just
flashback?
good shit.
It's good
Um
shit. I like Rayleigh getting to save Shaki. They're so cute together, and
oh
knowing that
yeah, I mean
they,
that whole
yeah,
section was awesome and
yeah,
beautiful.
and knowing that they're happily ever after in the present is great too.
hmm
We finish out the. I'm just now seeing at the end of Yamato's cover story where he has returned peace to Wano and gained some vassals. I don't think that he's gonna
hmm
join the crew, but I would love him to.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna
I
happen.
would love him to. Um, Also,
he's gonna
do we want to briefly mention Eris and the fact that she's named after the embodiment of chaos incarnate from Greek mythology? Isn't that just?
Yeah,
I
which
just
is
want to mention
I
it.
mean, I have thought about that in terms of Blackbeard with what does he embody, you know? Is
Mhm.
he just chaos? Is that what his role in the world is? But he's not a very chaotic guy. He's like a schemer and a planner. So it doesn't feel exactly right, which
Yeah.
is I think why your point about him being this imperfect amalgamation of a bunch of different things makes the most sense. But yeah, his mom is named Eris, which is the goddess of chaos
Yeah,
in
chaos
Greek
incarnate
mythology, is it? Or is
as,
it?
yeah, Greek mythology.
Yeah.
It's chaos incarnate. Um,
hmm
just literally like
So that's something
it's
probably.
it's probably something. We're probably gonna get more of her eventually, whether it be a Blackbeard flashback or her in the present. And maybe
Yeah.
then we'll learn more about her. I don't know that she's necessarily chaos herself, but I think it is interesting that she's named that way. Um,
hmm
let's see. I guess really the only thing left is I want to briefly mention um Roger's finishing move,
Oh,
because
yeah, I
I
forgot
think
about
I
that,
think
man.
it kind of has to get brought up, right? Um
Yeah.
the
I do wonder what he meant by that, because
yeah, the god of fire
why did you name
Ace.
it that?
What does that mean?
No way, it's just fan service.
There's no way it's just fan service, right? I mean, it could be. I don't know, but
Um,
it's kind of crazy. I
yeah,
just
Roger's
Ace.
presumably strongest attack we've seen him use is called God of Fire Ace.
And then
So,
so, you know,
so,
his son and everything.
tell him about it. Something there,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. I guess we sort of move after God Valley. We have I guess a brief mention. I want to talk about Shanks. Can we talk about Shanks?
No.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. What the fuck is
Yeah,
up with
Strength's probably not
Shanks?
important this arc.
No, probably not important like
What
ever,
the fuck is
maybe.
up with that?
What the fuck is up with Shanks,
Yeah.
man? What do you like it I mean it it's just like it's the same thing that we've been talking about the last while is just like what does he know? What did Roger tell him? What did he go to he went
Yeah.
to the Marijois to probably gain some information and he also helped free some slaves in the meantime. And then he left and then he went back to being on the Blue Sea and then he finds Luffy and then he loses his arm and I this is the one thing I do want to highlight. I really strongly believe that he did not give up his arm to the Sea King as some giga brain move like people seem to think he did. I genuinely believe it was
Yeah.
an accident. I think that Shanks believed he couldn't get rid of it and that it was Luffy's first act of liberation as the Sun God. I so believe that to be the case. There's no world where you can convince me that Shanks did it intentionally. And
This
then,
crazy Giga Brain
yeah,
play.
did some crazy Giga Brain thing, and then 10 years later was just fucking lying to Whitebeard's face about investing in the new era. I just don't buy it. I don't believe it. I think that it doesn't feel right to me. What exactly is going on with Shanks? Why is the red hair important? What? I don't know, man. Also, what happened?
Yeah, who knows?
It's also at this time where he has the just before we see him in Marijois where he gets attacked by Blackbeard and gets the scar. So I wonder why that happened because we don't know.
Yep.
Shanks.
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 He's also a child of fate.
Yeah, he sure is. And fate is a strange thing, especially with like one of the first big mentions of fate is in Impel Down from Blackbeard's crew about how there is no such thing as luck in this world, you know? And then him being a child of fate, and then the line where Shanks is like, "You need to call off Ace. It's too early for him and Teach to meet. They're not supposed to meet yet. What do you mean not supposed to meet yet?" Anyways,
God, Shanks.
I don't have a lot more
What
to
do
say
you
about.
know?
I don't have a lot more to say about Shanks other than what the fuck does he know. We learn about the seals. I don't have a lot to say about the seals other than they exist.
Yeah.
We're sort of moving through the last sort of stages here. I guess we sort of conclude with Loki taking out Harold and how
What a
man.
brutal
One
scene,
of the
dude.
most heartbreaking
What
scenes in One Piece
a
history.
masterpiece of writing that this section is. Oh my god. It's horrifying and beautiful and brilliant all at the same time. Like, it's so good. You see just he has to just beat the dog shit out of his dad and then covers him with his giant cloak so you can't even see what he did because he can't look at it. It's horrifying.
And it's just it tells you everything you need to know about these characters and who they are,
Right.
you know, especially, you know, the final exchange between the two of them. I'll read it here. Harold says, "Hurry now, before the control takes over again." Loki says in response, I'll never forgive you for this. How dare you force me to do this dirty work? And Harold responds, I love you too, son.
Yeah.
Damn.
Brutal.
Damn. Damn, 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 damn.
Damn, Daniel.
Damn, 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 damn. And so we close, returning to the present, where we are as of the most recent chapter. Loki is free. People are going up to go deal with the shit that's going on the top of the world, or not in the top of the world, in this the middle realm. I forget what it's called.
Elbaph.
Sunworld.
The middle realm.
Sunworld. It's a Sunworld,
Yeah.
because then the top one is the Astral World. They've
Yeah,
all
which we
forgiven
still
him.
don't know what that means either.
Sanji and Chopper are on the move somewhere with Gabon. And then we get to see a glimpse into Loki's power, where he uses the attack called Nibelheim to freeze the Draugr.
Yep.
I just want to mention this about this attack. 'Cause maybe you've seen this, but I've seen this. The realm in Norse mythology is called Niflheim. Nibelheim is the name of a town in Final Fantasy VII. Because in Final Fantasy VII, there's a town called Nibelheim and Midgard that are named after the Norse realms, but changed slightly. And so people think there's a chance that Oda, being the noted Final Fantasy fan that he is, thought that those were the correct ways you translate the names into English because Norse is so weird in Japanese.
That's really funny.
And whether or not he just did it because he didn't want it to be the same is very
I thought that it was called Nibelheim is because he's a squirrel and he's nibbling.
It could be that. But there's also a chance that he just accidentally named it after the Final Fantasy VII location because he thought that's how you make it in Japanese.
That's really funny if true.
Which is really funny if true. However, on a more serious note, he freezes this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And
so
this is...
He very obviously has at least some access to the power of the 9 realms through the Ratatoskr hammer.
Either the hammer,
that was
through
probably
the hammer,
made by
presumably.
Galileo.
Yeah. And so this is where I want to get into my note about Logia fruits.
Yeah.
Because so far, we have seen Ragnir able to conjure thunder and turn something and freeze it. And I think that presumably we're going to get all these the effects of the other realms. And the first thing that came to my mind was I had seen somebody else point out the way that you could map all of the Logia fruits that we've seen vaguely in some way onto elemental affinities of the 9 realms. And we've seen like not that many Logia fruits. I think it's like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them layer onto certain things, like you can put and even some of them go together where you can put like the chill fruit and the snow fruit together, or like flame and magma and smoke all together. And so that got me thinking about like, okay, one, is there a chance that all of the Logia fruits just draw their power from specific realms in the world of One Piece? But so it sort of got me on this train of thought: is there something fucking weird about Logia fruits? And I think the answer is yes, because I have a couple.
I think the answer is absolutely yes.
I have a couple things going on. One is in Marineford, when I forget if it's Sengoku, it's somebody in response to the reveal of Marco's powers being the Phoenix, mentions that mythical Zoans are even more rare than Logia fruits. However, in the story, I think we've seen like 1 or 2 less mythical Zoans than Logias. And since mythical Zoans are introduced, we've learned about like 11 of them, and we've learned about like 2 new Logia fruits in that time. 2, you've got some powers that are very Logia-like, but aren't. Most specifically, I'm talking about the mochi fruit, which, from my understanding, was originally called a Logia fruit when the manga first came out, the first chapter first came out, and then was later changed in the volume releases to be a special paramecia, which to me reads as Oda went, okay, yeah, it's a Logia fruit because he functions like a Logia fruit, and then went, oh shit, right, Logia fruits have that's special about them. So mochi
X,
isn't that, so it
X
can't be that.
something that's weird about them that the mochi
That
doesn't.
mochi doesn't do. And then you have Dr. Vegapunk, who has such an intimate knowledge of devil fruits that he's able to literally create a clone of the ancient myth, literally a mythical fruit with the Azure Dragon, which is supposed to be even more rare than a Logia fruit. He's able to create a not a perfect copy because it's pink, but essentially a perfect copy, and then is able to develop this weird green blood thing that allows him to mimic Paramecia type fruits. But he says specifically that even he has not been able to figure out how to mimic the powers of Logia type devil fruits. This is Vegapunk we're talking about.
Yeah.
Vegapunk can't figure out how to mimic Logia fruits because there's something fucky about them. There's something weird and fucky. I don't know what it is specifically, but I think there's got to be some reason why something like the mochi fruit isn't that. What is it that separates the fact that he can just turn into mochi and be impermeable in the same way that you can turn into fire or something? Is it specific realms, a la Hell Piece or Norse mythology? Maybe. Are they drawing on some sort of specific elemental energy that is inherent to the universe? Maybe. But there's got to be something that's weird about it that differentiates something like swamp from mochi. And or forest and mochi. The fact that like you can map things like swamps and forests onto different 9 realms. And so if we continue seeing Ragnar's powers and he starts shooting out, I don't know, light or magma or, you know, swamp or something, I think there's really something there to be considered. But I think that there's something funky about Logia type devil fruits and that we've not been told everything there is to know about them. Because originally they were supposed to be this super special rare. Like, I think actually even more than swamp, the big one for me is sand.
Yeah.
Because you'd think that sand would be similar to mochi, because it's a physical thing. It's not like a liquid or like a gas.
Yeah,
you know?
or it's energy.
It's not an energy.
Like light or fire.
It's not, it's not like a plasma. It's not light. It's not... sand is a physical thing. You can physically hold a grain of sand. And yet, he's not... Crocodile's not a special Paramecia. He's a Logia type devil fruit. So what is it that's different about sand? Is it because it's drawing power from the earth? I don't fucking know. But I think that there's something. I don't know what
I think there's something.
I don't know what's weird about Logias, but I think there's something. And I think and then my thoughts came to that because of the end of this chapter.
It's worth mentioning, I think, that we do have these special classifications of like special Paramecia or mythic Zoan, and we've never seen anything like that for a Logia. I don't know if that's related to what we're talking about or anything, but I think it's worth mentioning that there's never been a quote-unquote upgraded version of a Logia. It's always just been Logia.
Yeah. I also, additionally, I think it's worth noting that we've never seen an awakened Logia on screen. We've only seen the after effects of an awakened Logia. So, for all we know...
I believe that's still just an assumption that...
That's true. We don't know explicitly that Sakazuki and... Kuzan did that, but presumably,
Kuzan.
Yeah, but for all we know, you awaken one of those and you turn into like fucking Vishnu or something. You know, you turn into like a whole ass, like, or you turn into like a literal Norse. You turn into like Eneru awakens and he turns literally into Thor, like something crazy that we don't know what it is. But I think that there's something going on with Logia fruits and that we're supposed to be paying attention to it. I just don't know what it is. And if Ragnar continues to use powers that we've seen of other questions, and if Ragnar continues to use powers we've seen used by other Logia fruits, I think it's even more worth asking the question.
Agreed.
And those are my thoughts on Logia fruits.
Those are my questions on Logia.
Oh, yeah, those are my questions. They're not even thoughts yet. Let's see. I think that's kind of all my notes. I had something else written around about Garp and Dragon, but I kind of forgot what I was saying, and I don't want to just say it out of my ass. I'd rather come in with a more composed thought about it, so I'm just going to hold my tongue, even though I would like to talk about it. Do you have any other notes on this section?
Trying to pick apart because again, I wanted to do more rereading, but
Yeah, me
life
too.
happened, so
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that's it.
All right then. I guess now we do the YouTube things where we tell you to like and subscribe if you like the video and subscribe to the
Yeah.
video. Um,
And subscribe to the video and like the video. And if you
yeah.
if you have thoughts or questions or anything,
Please
just
put them down in
leave
the
a comment.
comments. Please put them in the
We would
comments.
love to hear any of your thoughts about this section, especially with it being our first full weekly experience. It's I want to be a part of the conversation. I want you guys to be able to talk about this with us.
Yeah, 100%. And as
So,
always, the offer still stands that if you make one of us cry while talking about One Piece as out of a comment, we will put a little heart on the comment for sure. So if that's your
yeah.
incentive to comment, there's an incentive. So like the video, like the channel, subscribe to the video, all that fun jazz. Uh,
Yeah. And if you made it all the way to the end, you definitely
you
liked the
definitely
video.
like the
So
video,
like the
and
video.
and other people like you who like One Piece and like talking will also like the video. And so liking the video lets them
Yeah.
see the video, in theory.
Yeah. Also, maybe apologies for the thumbnail.
Maybe the thumbnail I
We have
haven't
we
made it
haven't
yet,
decided
but
we haven't decided yet.
I haven't made it yet, but it might be a little clickbaity. So apologies in advance, or I guess in retrospect for you, in advance for me. All right.
Other than that,
Other
I
than that,
think
I think we are good to sign off. As always,
yeah.
cheers.
Cheers.